Hello and welcome to another unit by unit video here on SkaredCast. Today we look at the Cronos pain engine. Let's begin.
The Dark Kin.
Hello and welcome to another unit by unit video here on SkaredCast. I'm Skari, your grateful host, and today we're looking at the next unit in the new Drukhari Codex. So this is the first time that you have tuned into this segment. We talk about different units that matter to me in the book, one by one. So make sure you check out the playlist where I talk about all the other units in this book. Now we continue our look into the heavy support series, and we are looking at the Cronos, the little brother of the Talos, which was the video that we saw last time. The link will be down in the description. Before we start, a huge shout out to all the Patreons to the channel. You make this possible. Thanks a lot for your support. If you are not a Patreon yet and you'd like to get access to some exclusive content, coaching, that sort of stuff, check the link down below. So let's get started. As always, it's in two parts. So first I talk about the lore of the unit itself, where it fits in Drukhari society, and secondly we look at how it plays in game. Now of course I've played all of these units and I'm talking to you from experience, not just a theory hammer. I've physically put my words to the test, and you can see that in different battle reports. Okay, let's begin. In the zone. Oh, by the way, I read these out of the book, so make sure you purchase your codex today. Cronos. The Cronos, also known as the Parasite engine, resembles a giant biomechanical insect or spined deep-sea abomination. Its burnished shell covered in bristling antenna and twitching veins. Though it is employed in the same end as the Talos and other engines of pain, to torture and destroy. The Cronos is an even more extraordinary machine. Through the blend of alchemy and science practiced by the homunculus covens, the Cronos is able to drain the very life essence of its victims using a variety of esoteric apparatus. What remains of its prey when the vile creature has drunk its fill is a testament to the diabolical skill of its creators. For in its wake, a Cronos leaves little more than grey and shriveled husks. The Cronos has earned its grim reputation amongst those members of the lesser races who have fought against it and survived, for its horrific product of the homunculus art can generate a feedback loop of negative energy that siphons the life force of those caught in its field. To the onlooker, a victim of the Cronos' invisible attention sees to age at an incredibly rapid rate. In addition, each Cronos has multiple tentacles wrought from metal, flesh, and nervous tissue dangling from its forelimbs and underside, which are similarly capable of draining the animating essence of those they strike. Some Cronos are further modified to bear other soul-draining weaponry, such as a spirit vortex, a spirit probe. The Cronos drives the hollow tube directly into those it has grasped in its tentacles, ingesting their life force through more direct means as the spirit probe. The stolen vitality of the machine's victim is then magnified within its shiny carapace, fed through its ribbed capacitor valves, and projected from its resonator veins once more. Pulsing waves of spirit essence flow outwards to those Drukhari standing near the Cronos, Usually it's Homunculus Master and his ghastly carnival of monstrosities. In this way, the metallic monstrosity nourishes and rejuvenates those nearby, driving them on to ever greater feats of destruction. Those beneficial effects are by no means confined to the covens, however. All Drukhari can absorb the life forces purloined by the Chronos, becoming stronger and more vital. Archons, who expect a raid to become protracted, will pay handsomely for a Cronos pain engine to accompany them in their mission. Even within the Dark City, it is not uncommon for a wealthy overlord of a cabal to permanently keep a Cronos close by so that he can set it upon disloyal servants and potential usurpers. When a homunculus enters real space to gather living fodder for their obliterates, they will regularly take a Cronos with them, not only to bolster their own vim in battle, but also to observe the effects different harvested souls have on their other fleshy creations. Indeed, countless sentient species have been eradicated over the millennia for the simple reason that their spirit essence provided especially invigorating to a particularly genocidal homunculus. Don't know why I love the lore of the Drukhari so much. It suits me. It really suits me. Here in the spire, I'm growing cold and dark and sinister. So that is the Chronos. They're essentially the small brother to the Talos. They're one of the pain engines employed by the homunculi. They're artful creations that are used to magnify spirit essence and to drain the life force of the enemy. Pretty cool. And in-game, they play a very similar role. So let's look at what you get. So a Chronos is 4 power level for one Chronos. It's cheaper than a Talos in point value as well. You get a very similar stat line, just not as versatile in terms of combat potential. The Chronos has movement of 8 inches, weapon skill 4, and ballistic skill of 3, so it hits better than the Talos. Its strength of 5 instead of strength 6. Its toughness 6 and 7 wounds, so same toughness as the other beasts. It's 3 attacks, its leadership 9, and it has a 3+ save. Pretty straightforward stuff. Very tough. 7 wounds makes it very resilient to multi-damage weapons. It's good toughness, etc. The unit contains 1 Chronos and can contain up to 2 additional Chronos. So you can have 1 or you can have 3. And each model is equipped with a Spirit Siphon and Spirit Leech tentacles. These are their special weapons. So let's look at the Spirit Siphon. It's an 8-inch range assault D6 weapon. It's strength 3, minus 2 AP and 1 damage. So it's about sort of like a liquefier. This weapon automatically hits its target, so it's a flamer weapon. Each time you make a wound roll of a 6+, that hit is resolved with a damage characteristic of D3. So it has the potential of doing multiple damage with its strength 3 flamer. Minus 2 AP is quite good, and the ability to automatically hit its target means you can move 8 and shoot 8, or you can advance 8 and shoot 8. Advance and then shoot as well. This makes it very reliable against units that have negative to hit modifiers, mainly infantry, however. Although even against a tank, if you roll a 6 to wound, you're wounding and it's causing damage of D3, which could be handy in a pinch. So a unit of 2 to 3 of these is having 2d6 or 3d6 flamer shots that are strength 3, so they're not the best, but on 6s they're causing D3 damage, which is pretty cool. They also have Spirit Leech tentacles. Melee weapon that is strength of user, so strength 5. They have an AP of -1 and 1 damage. And any roll of a wound of a 6+ is damage D3. So same sort of idea. It's only 1 damage, does have a little bit of AP. It's only strength 5, so nothing crazy. The worst you're wounding things is 5+ probably. There's not anything toughness 10 yet. So not terrible. So let's look at the war gear options. Any Chronos can take a Spirit Vortex. Can just take it if they want. The Spirit Vortex is another shooting weapon. Has an 18-inch range, and it's Assault D6. Strength 3, minus 2 AP. The same as the Flamer weapon. And every roll of a 6 to hit causes D3 damage. So this is an 18-inch shot weapon, but you have to roll to hit with it, hitting on 3+, because their ballistic skill is 3+, which means you can have 2 Assault D6 weapons on this model. One is 18-inch range, one is 8-inch range. One rolls to hit, one doesn't roll to hit. But essentially, the Chronos has this rule in general, where if you roll a 6 to wound, on it becomes D3 damage. So has the potential to do more damage than you think it would. Any model may take a Spirit Probe. Now, a Spirit Probe gives it a special ability. So let's look at the abilities. First of all, it has Power from Pain. Basic Drukhari ability. First turn, they get a 6-up Feel No Pain. Second turn, they can reroll advanced and charge rolls. Third turn, they get +1 to hit in combat, which means that they become 3+ to hit, essentially. Fourth turn, they become Fearless, not something that you're going to see very often. And fifth turn, every enemy unit within 6 inches suffers a -1 leadership bubble. Can be kind of handy. Can, later in the game. Can't, sometimes isn't. It is insensible to pain, so it has a 5+ invulnerable save. This gets really handy when paired up with the Prophets of Flesh obsession that increases this save to a 4+. It does explode, so on 6 it explodes, and every unit within 6 inches suffers a mortal wound, so similar to the Talos, they're like a mini explosion. And they also have the ability to take that Spirit Probe. So, the Spirit Probe gives the Chronos a Aura ability. It's a very cheap upgrade, so I recommend that you take at least one in every unit of Chronos that you're taking. Reroll wound rolls of 1 for Drukhari units in the fight phase whilst they're within 6 inches of any friendly Chronos with a Spirit Probe. Gives every unit within 6 inches reroll 1s to wound in the fight phase. This can be really handy when paired up with Talos Macro Scalpels or Grotesques with their Flesh Gauntlets or their Cleavers, or even Homunculus with an Electrocorrosive Whip, or even Incubi, or basically that 1 to wound really comes in handy, especially in the fight phase. In addition, if a Chronos with a Spirit Probe inflicts 1 or more unsaved wounds in the fight phase, you can pick a friendly Drukhari unit within 6 inches of it that is not a vehicle. The unit you pick regains 1 lost wound. So, any Chronos that causes 1 wound can regen a model or a friendly unit to regain 1 lost wound. That's pretty cool. So if you have 3 Cronoses running around, for Chronos, if you have 3 Cronoses running around with Spirit Probe, they all go in, they do 3, each one separately does, an unsaved wound with their Spirit Probe. They can heal a Talos nearby for 3 wounds, or they can heal a character for 3 wounds, or they can heal one of their own unit for 3 wounds, or they can heal a Grotesque for 3 wounds. So they have the ability to be annoyingly helpful at revitalizing, as we saw in the lore, some of the Drukhari units. And that's essentially the Chronos in a nutshell. Their faction keyword is Eldari Drukhari, Homunculus Coven, and they are Monster Chronos. In the FAQ, they were also given the Fly keyword, which means they can move around, jumping over models and units in the movement phase. At least that's for the FAQ. But Fly is a very useful keyword to have. So Chronos, how do I use them? Now, I usually run Talos. I run big units of Talos. Although, sometimes I run a couple of units of Talos and I add in some Chronos. The Chronos have proven to be very effective at bolstering the effectiveness of my Talos. Why? And the Grotesques. That reroll to wound comes in quite handy, especially with the Strength 7, Strength 6, and Strength 8 of the Talos if Urian Rakath is around. Which means I don't have to spend command points as often on the stratagem that gives them reroll wounds. Now, the D3 damage on the Chronos can be really handy, especially when going up against monsters or tanks. The odd 6 to wound can really come in handy doing D3 damage. Works very well when combined with something like Doom. I know sometimes we don't like allying with our craft world cousins, but that's a great way to maximize on that unit. And last but not least, don't forget that with their spirit probes, they can heal Drukhari models nearby, units nearby. And that comes in really handy when you're trying to keep things like Tailus or Grotesques alive in a battle of attrition. Even your characters. Get them stuck in, get the Chronos stuck into a cheap screen or things like that are becoming a lot more prevalent. And you can probably see them helping everything around them be a lot better. I highly recommend you take a look at that. 6 Talos and 6 Chronos all together in a big blob of death and destruction going at the enemy is not something that should be taken lightly. Plus, with their flamer weapons, you can keep them relatively cheap and they don't suffer to hit modifiers in shooting. They have to get nice and close to the enemy, they can advance and shoot, or they can jump out of combat and shoot with these really cool flamers that can do a lot of damage against an unprepared foe. So let me know what you think in the comments down below on the Chronos. I hope you're enjoying this series. We're almost at an end with the Ravager and a few of the flyers remaining to take a look at, as well as the Forge World units like the Tantalus and the Reaper. So let me know if you'd like what book you'd like to see next in the comments down below. After all, if you haven't checked out the Patreon blog, check the link down below as well, and a huge thanks to Dyson Decks for sponsoring the channel. After all, I'm Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Skari out.